Well, welcome to another Wednesday edition of Virtually Tasting the featured Boggy Noggin Beer of the Week. This week we've got Spruce Tip IPA. It's a beer that I know that a lot of you guys and gals out there look forward to each year, and we're going to talk about it, share the recipe, and do some tasting on it. And then I'll turn it over to answering some questions you might have in the chat. So go ahead and put any questions you got, and I'll get to those after we get done with the basic information and tasting. So I call this an English IPA, but it's Spruce Tip IPA. It's 7.4% alcohol by volume, and it's got 90 IBUs. Our original gravity is at 1074, terminal gravity at 1018. Color on it's 4.7, and I would say that this has got a nice light bronze, dark golden color to it. But clarity, because of all the resinous qualities of that spruce tip that's been boiled in there, and we'll get to that in a little bit, it's not completely clear. It's going to have some of that resinous qualities in there. And so we did a third barrel batch, which is 11 gallons. We used London water, and we used the Fuller's yeast, which is White Labs 002. There's only one malt in here. This is from Alberta. This is the raw Alex 2-row, 32.5 pounds, so 100% of the malt bill. We mash it at 150 degrees for 1 hour, and we sparge it with 170 degree water and collect all of the sugars in the boil kettle. The key thing on this is we put in 3 pounds of fresh spruce tips, which we cultivated out of our yard here at the brewery, and they are put in, and they're just the most tender new shoots of spruce tips into the bottom of the boil kettle, and then we add all the wort on top of it. So we collect all the wort collection right on top of the spruce tips, so it's in there the longest time. So it's in there before it even starts boiling, and it stays in there for the entire 60-minute boil. Once we get to boil temperature, we add at 60 minutes 3 ounces of Columbus. That gives us 75 IBUs. Then at 5 minutes left, we add 4 ounces of Cascade and 2 ounces of Centennial, and that's going to give us the remaining 15 IBUs, bring it to a total of 90. We move it to our fermenter at 65 degrees and let it rise to 68 over 7 days of fermentation. It's taken out and put into secondary fermentation at 32 degrees, and it's in there for 7 days. That's how we get our yeast and any grain particles just to drop out of the solution. And then we keg it and force carbonate it to 1.5 volumes, which is the English carbonation level. And it's served right here at 40 degrees. And I think on this one you're going to want a little bit colder, so it's a more crisp character to it. So let's take a smell. So I am picking up some resinous qualities. I'm picking up some citrus qualities from the hops, and I get a little of the the biscuity, bready malt bill. It's a very complex aroma on it. There's a lot going on in there, and if you really pick them up, you can pick up each one of those items. Wow. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and a lot of transformation as it is from the front of your tongue to the middle, to the back, and down into your throat. Let's start with the finish. Really, really dry. Not necessarily just all hop bitterness dry. I get some of that resinous quality from the spruce tip that was in there, which is I would say it softens the bitterness level, but it makes it stick. It's a little more sticky to it, and so it stays there. It's longer lasting. Up front, I got a little bit of sweetness. That's from the malty character. So you get a little sweetness, bready-like sweetness. When you hit the middle to the back of the tongue, you're picking up a little bit of alcohol, 7.4%. You're also picking up some of the hop character flavor of the hops, a little citrusy from all three of them, the Columbus, Cascade, and Centennial, all have the citrus kind of character to it. But that finish is what just kind of dominates, and you kind of lose track of what you did experience because of that unique, long-lasting, sticky dryness at the finish. And at 90 IBUs, it's not a 90 IBU beer that you would normally think is going to be overbearing and rip your taste buds out of your mouth. This is not like that. It's well balanced. It brings you just a great arm around the whole beer, and just what it's saying is we don't want to leave, and we're going to leave you with that impression of that beer, and so you can just enjoy that and be thinking about your next taste as you're enjoying that aftertaste. Really good beer. It's going to be in growler fills only this weekend. $22 for a 64-ounce half-gallon growler. Very limited, so if you want some, I would grab 2 growlers maybe, and if you want one for this weekend and next weekend, because it may not be around. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't, but this is good enough that you're going to want to have more than 1 growler. And if you're lucky enough to wait till next week to get the second one, you won the lottery. So, gosh, it's really good. So much character in there. I almost get a little marmalade, and I think that's a lot from that. It's the ester profile of the yeast, picking up with the breadiness, but slightly. There's other beers that I've seen. I will say I get a big orange marmalade. I don't get any orange in it. I'm just getting that kind of that marmalade kind of flavor profile, and it's really good. So I think people are going to really like this, and if you are intrigued by any of this, I would make sure you get it. And how do you get it? It's curbside pickup Friday and Saturday, 4 to 5 p.m. Go to the foggynogginbrewing.com website and hit the beer tab. All the details on how to order and what's available between other growler fills and bottles and stuff is all right there. And it's gonna be a good one. I'm gonna grab the camera, flip it around so I can actually read your comments. And that way we can have a little dialogue here. Tip this down. So we've got Gary, we got Kim, we got Jeff, we got Bob, Lisa, Matthew, and Dan. Well, welcome to all of you for watching. And I don't see any questions, but we have a lot of people watching, and so I maybe just enjoying me taste it and talk about it. But this is definitely a beer that I would be wanting to grab a hold of and make sure I got a growler or 2 of it. See if you can see this color a little bit better down close. It's got some good lacing on it. So, you know, IPAs are not typically my favorite style of beer, but you know, when you take a beer like this and you have the complexity of all those other things going on, it's really, really enjoyable. It's satisfying beer. It's one that you can have, you'll want a second one. Maybe you don't do a second one, but you're going to want a second one. But, you know, all just 1 malt, 3 different hops, pretty simple beer, but the key is spruce tips. And when you look at a tree and the very tips on them, they're going to be a much lighter color on the wood stock on it, and then it gets darker when you get to the old stock. You don't want that. You're going to get some qualities out of that boiling in your beer that you're not going to like. You really want to have those really, really tender, fresh shoots. So 3 pounds is quite a bit. So it takes a lot of cuttings on that. And what I recommend to do is in cold water, rinse it really, really well, because you don't want to put it in there with any wild yeast that may have collected on it, and maybe there's a few bugs on it. But just do a really quick cold rinsing of it before you put it in. One thing I didn't tell you, at 20 minutes left in the boil, we add some Irish moss, and we do that for every beer we do. We put a little Irish moss in there at 20 minutes. So that's one detail. If you're a home brewer and want to do that, I would put some Irish moss in.
Gary says, how soon do you think you can open for an on-site pleasure drinking? Well, that's something that we wish we were doing right now, and today would be a perfect day for it. I don't have a date. Assuming we stay in phase 3 and don't move back to phase 2, we haven't found a date, but we're hoping sometime in May. And we do that, we'll probably do a Saturday, and if it's successful and people feel comfortable, and we might do a Friday cask release too. So we love those Friday cask release. I'd like to get back to doing some of those. This would be a great one to sit here and drink together, but for now, we have to drink it at home. Stephanie says, is it similar to the Cedar Bow IPA? No, that one's much more, well, first of all, that was not as hoppy, and the cedar on it gave it almost like an herbal character to it. And you know how you make cedar, being outside here, I got some bugs attacking me here. The cedar is like a tea-like, and it's herbally, and it's completely different than with the spruce. Spruce has got more pungent and more aggressive flavor tones on it. Good question, though. Welcome, Alan. So, you know, only 2-row. We use RAR's Alex 2-row, but if you're a home brewer, you could use any 2-row. 100% of it. 32.5 pounds for our 3rd barrel batch. And then just 3 hops. Columbus, Cascade Centennials, and the key is some freshly harvested. And we do it right as we're warming up our waters. We're picking the spruce tips, so they're really, really fresh, because you want all that great resinous quality to come to that beer. Friday and Saturday for curbside pickup, 4 to 5 p.m. Go to the FoggyNogginBrewing.com website, hit the beer tab. All the details are there. And I'm sure this is one you're going to really, really enjoy. And if you're doing any barbecuing or going any gatherings for the weekend, this is one that people are going to really be pleased that you brought for them to try. So tomorrow night at 5:30 is we're back with a new live session of the happiest half hour of the week. A little music, piano, song, and just all around fun, and the official start of the weekend. So join us on Facebook Live 5:30 tomorrow. And then next week we will have another virtual tasting. And what is next week's beer? I'm trying to think what it is. I think it's Wee Wee, if I'm not mistaken. Wee Wee is a Scotch Wee Heavy, so I think that is next week's. But if you get our newsletter, it's in there, and that's a great beer too. I look forward to each one, because as we go through COVID, we aren't brewing nearly as much beer as we normally did. So each time we bring out a beer, it's been one we haven't had on for a while. So Effin' Spruce Tip IPA, that's this week's beer. I think you're really going to like it, and we look forward to seeing you guys at curbside pickup, and hope you guys take the time and join us for the happiest half hour of the week tomorrow, 5:30 Facebook Live. Cheers, everyone, and enjoy this great weather while we got it.